podcast. I'm Kara here with Stu. Say hey, Stu.
Hey.
All right, so we're back with you. We're going to Virginia this episode. We haven't been there in a while, Virginia. I've never been there, period, in like the physical being. Have you?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's been a long... Drove through there on my way to somewhere else.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know
on
if
the
that
way
counts.
to New York, I think, or something.
Oh, I don't... Well, when I went to New York, I flew, Stuart, because that's who I am. I'm kidding.
Did you fly first class?
No, I didn't.
You flying coach?
Yes. Anyways, I'm not that fancy. All right, so we're back with you. We wanted to, so in between, while we've been recording these episodes, you may have started noticing some newer episodes where it's just the recording of the story, like no extra
I have not
banter.
seen anything like that.
I know you haven't seen any, but they're going to start seeing things like that. But anyways, we just wanted to explain on there. We explained during the episodes that are put out. We're going to start putting those out, I think, Sundays. And it's just us reading the story.
What's this we stuff? I'm not involved.
Well, Stu's not involved in it.
Sounds like you're starting without me. Like
no, I'm just reading. I'm trying to branch out in the,
It sounds like you're striking out on your own and divorce might be next.
No, basically, so like we're going to do this, our regular episodes, like how we're doing right now. We're going to both be involved and everything like that. But we have had requests or people say, hey, I like the stories you do. I just don't banter. It's not my thing.
Who are these people?
I don't know, Stuart. They're people out there, okay? There's people. There's at least one person that asked for this. So you know what? I'm a people pleaser. I'm just going to do this. Anyway, so we're just going to put one out on Sundays where we just read, because we do research our own cases and write. I write the whole thing from start to finish. So where I just read it, it's going to be like 20 minutes long. So you can just get the story if that's what you want with no banter. And it'll just be two options. We're still always going to do this one. And that'll be kind of like a bonus just in case for people who don't like banter. Or us. But then they're probably going to be like, Kara's voice is terrible. I hate her.
And wheezy.
Yes. She does not have a voice for podcasting. Well, whatever. Fuck off.
Bitch, you got a face for whatever.
What, radio?
Radio.
You've got a face for podcasting. So.
Yeah. Now what?
Anyways, but we just wanted to just put that little announcement out there. But anyways, we'll get into our story tonight. Just remember Instagram, Facebook, follow us, like us, all the things. We got our Patreon if you want to support the podcast. We have one tier right now that you can join that will give you early access to the episodes. And then in the future, we're hoping to do, more stuff. But enough of all that. So yeah, just go on. If you can see all that stuff in the show notes. So I guess we'll go ahead and get into tonight's episode since Stu's giving me the look to stop talking about things. Hey, someone has to bring up the Facebook, the Instagram, and the Patreon, Stuart.
What they done hit the fast forward button in 30 seconds like
okay, well,
times
they're right at the edge of the next 30-second thing, so they're gonna have to go back 10 seconds on the Apple thing.
That's just
and they're gonna run into
it.
this one. So
that is just the way
suck
I
it.
planned
We've done tricked you into listening to us pimp our stuff. So, all right, let's get into tonight's episode out of Virginia. Nancy Dunning was born March 11th, 1950, and she would go on to marry Jim Dunning, so he goes by Jim, and they would establish their home and family in Alexandria, Virginia. Now, they would welcome two children. Their names were Liz and Chris, and Jim, he worked in law enforcement and was elected as the sheriff of Alexandria in 1985. Now, Nancy, she would go on to have a very successful career as a real estate agent, and she actually became known in the area as the Queen of Del Rey. Del Rey was an affluent, yet quaint. It had, neighborhood of Alexandria. It was known for all of its, small town feel. It had all, the local restaurants, all the independent businesses. You weren't going to find the Barnes & Noble in the town. You were going to find the, I don't know, name of a bookstore.
Mom and pop.
Yeah, mom and pop, let's book it or something.
Bookends.
Bookends or something cute and quaint. And all, little antique stores and everything. So this is, a ritzy place. Because, if you're shopping at some place that's not a chain store, you're paying double.
Yes, you are.
A lot of these local businesses. So, anyways, that's where she got her name in real estate, was selling these properties in Del Rey. Now, Nancy, she knew how to sell, and it's because she had just this great personality. She was a very thoughtful person, and she had an easy time connecting with people. And they were just a very successful family, and they were living a very, very nice life in Alexandria. Because I believe Alexandria is just expensive anyways. Isn't it like a suburb of...
The only Alexandria I know is Louisiana, and it's not that expensive to live there.
This is true. We do have an Alexandria.
I know nothing of Alexandria, Virginia.
I thought it was like a suburb of... Is it not a suburb of D.C. or something?
Well,
Or like people live there?
I think there's the bedroom communities around Alexandria, and that people do live there and work in D.C.
Okay, maybe.
So it gets real expensive to live up in the area.
Yeah, because you probably have a lot of like politicians and people like that
and
living out there that don't want to live in DC, want to live out there in like the little quiet neighborhood. So yeah, so it gets pricey. So this is a successful family, Stuart. Very successful.
On December 5th, 2003, Jim and Chris had plans to meet Nancy for lunch. Nancy had plans to stop at the Target before going to lunch, or as they say around Delray when they leave.
The neighborhood?
The neighborhood.
Yeah, let me just be clear, because yes, she is at a Target. Alexandria does have a Target. I'm saying that there's a neighborhood within Alexandria that's real fancy, that's Delray, that has like all the little cute independent shops. Anyways, before someone from Alexandria is like, you're so dumb, there is a Barnes & Noble in Alexandria.
You're so dumb.
Oh, shut up, Stuart. Keep reading.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know how to read, or...
No, I'm lost as to where I'm supposed
Okay,
to be.
well, find your spot. Come on, you can do it. We all believe in you. Focus, Stuart.
Fine. Chris and Jim waited for Nancy, but she didn't show up. Growing concerned, they began calling her, but got no answer. They finally decided to leave the restaurant and go check on her at the house, or see if it was possible that she broke down somewhere along the route to get there.
Yeah, that's what I would think. Like, if someone didn't respond, I would say, okay, maybe they had a wreck and they lost their phone, because that happened to you.
Yes.
And I couldn't get a hold of you, and I started to panic.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, something's happened. So I retraced all the path that I thought you would be driving home, and I found you on the side of the road. Well, I didn't find you. I found the police backup. Stuart's fine, obviously, but it was a pretty bad wreck.
It was.
He hit a semi head-on after he got rear-ended across the interstate in oncoming traffic.
Hit the semi.
Completely not Stu's fault.
Flew back 150 feet from there. It was quite the adventure.
Yeah, and then
quite an exciting 30 seconds in my life.
And then I came upon it, and there was like 2 miles of traffic backed up from the wreck or whatever. And I found a cop on the side of the road, and it was raining. And I got out, and I said, I'm trying to find my boyfriend. I can't get a hold of him. And I just had like a feeling like something bad had happened, because he normally answered the phone. And we'd only been together for like a year or so at this point. And the guy like pulled up the picture on his like little police thingy, because he had the driver's license number of the person who was in the wreck, and it popped up Stu's face, and I was like, oh my god. And so he let me go like around so I could get to the hospital and stuff, but Stu only broke his heel, but he's lucky he didn't die.
Yeah.
We're lucky we have him here, people, okay?
Well, some of you are.
Yeah.
Some of you are not.
I question my choices daily, but here we are. Anyways, back on track.
Anyway, Chris and Jim arrive at the dining home, and they see that the garage door is wide open. Well, open. I guess it can't be halfway open unless you set it that way. It either goes up or down.
Okay, Stuart, why are you getting into semantics? Come on.
I like to get into semantics.
You're so stupid.
Well, Nancy's car is parked in its usual spot. With some relief, they do enter the home through the garage, where Chris sees some Target bags in the family room. So she made it to Target, made it to the house, didn't make it to the restaurant.
So she might have died happy, though.
Maybe. As he progresses into the home, he sees his mother lying in the front hallway. She's unresponsive, and she has blood on her face. He immediately grabs the phone, calls 911. On the 911 call, you can hear Chris screaming, I need help. Then he yells at his dad, oh my God, something happened to Mom. He tells the 911 operator that somebody came in and attacked my mother or something. I don't know.
Yeah, those are his words, exactly.
The operator asks if she's breathing, and he says, I don't know. Jim gets on the phone. He's very distraught. He's crying, saying, my wife has been murdered. She's dead. She's in a pool of blood. They were waiting for the ambulance, hoping that they could help Nancy. But by the time the ambulance got there, it was too late. Nancy had passed before she was even found by her own family. So
yeah, and the 911 call, I watched a show where they played it, and it's really, really sad to hear the son, and even the husband, like the son just like like, Dad, there's something wrong with Mom. Like, he's like, look, he's a grown man at that point. I think he was in his either late teens or early 20s. Like, he was grown. And, like, all of a sudden he reverts back to being like a kid. He's like, Dad, something's wrong with Mom. Like, it was really sad, really depressing listening to it. It was the quintessential, like, if you thought what a 911 call should sound like from a distraught, like, husband and son, instead of these fake ass ones we get from these guys that have, like, killed their wives and stuff like that.
Their wife and their son on the same day?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
say, in South Carolina?
Yeah, like that, like, fake ass thing that person's doing. It reminds me with Balix Burdoff. Burdock or whatever his name, however you pronounce it. Anyways, yeah, it's like, this is the 911 call you would expect out of that. So it was it was a very sad call that they played. But anyways, I was talking about Alex Murdoch Stewart. You
don't think people picked up on that?
I don't know. I said the wrong name that rhymed with it, so I didn't know. Maybe I confused people.
God, what is wrong with you?
I know. Now, investigators on the scene, they begin to examine the home. Now, the front door was closed, but it was unlocked. There were no signs of forced entry into the home, and everything was in order. There was no valuables that appeared to have been taken just at first sight. There's no drawers overturned. There's no anything rifled through. Nothing. There was a pool of blood around Nancy and a smear of blood on the door. Now, Nancy was fully clothed, and it did not appear that she had defensive wounds or she had any signs of sexual assault. It was looking to police like this was just a cold-blooded assassination. She simply opened the door, someone shot her, and then the perpetrator just left immediately, didn't do anything, didn't enter the home, nothing. Didn't even take the Target bag, Stuart.
What the
I
hell?
would have at least rifled through and seen if I saw a cute mug or something to drink my coffee in.
You think there was a coffee mug in there?
And of course there was a coffee mug. Target has those $5 mugs. You can't help but be like, oh, hello, gorgeous. And you're like, yes, I am gorgeous. I like to think about that about myself in the morning. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or like, oh, dog mom, or whatever it is,
I have no idea. Or, I don't shop at Target.
Like coffee, caffeine, and crime. Or I know, Stuart's disgusting. I don't know.
It's too classy for me.
It is too classy. He's
I
Walmart.
like my stars like I like my bars.
What?
Well, like my stores like I like my bars, like I'm dive bars.
Oh, you said my stars like I like my bars.
Oh, no.
Oh, what is stars? Like, Starbucks has stars.
Stores.
My stores like I like my bars. Trashy.
Trashy.
You're like a Dollar General at best type of person. And
yes,
that's the dive bar equivalent of stores.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, moving on.
Well, so, at a Dollar General, you ain't got to get all dressed up like you do when you go to Walmart.
No, you don't. That's what I'm saying. It's the dive bar of
the store systems.
General stores. So anyways, back to this. Although I'm not afraid of a Dollar General. I've done coupon quite a bit at a Dollar General in my day. Anyways, got kicked out of a couponing group on Facebook as well.
Yes, you did.
Yes, I did.
That was
very
funny.
Proud. Very proud moment of man.
I had to hear about that for 30 minutes.
Yeah. So anyway, so it looked like like we said, she just opened the door, she'd been shot, and then they left. And an autopsy would later reveal that the 53-year-old Nancy had been shot 3 times. And it was exactly what they had thought. No sexual assault, nothing. Three shots, she's dead, and the person's gone.
According to news reports, or according to what we're gathering, community Alexandria is not accustomed to people being murdered up in Alexandria, especially in the Delray subdivision of Alexandria. It's just not an occurrence that they're used to happening.
Well, especially someone just having a door open on them and shot. I mean, I don't know anybody even like if you have a high crime area, that's a weird kind of murder,
No, I don't know. I don't live in high crime areas. I would think
I'm just saying.
Door kicks are...
No, but for them to murder somebody for no reason whatsoever, I mean, sure, if she'd been, like, sexually assaulted or if she'd been robbed, sure, but just, like, killing someone just to kill someone? That doesn't happen even in high crime areas. That's a weird...
Oh, yeah, they're getting some revenge or
there's a reason
going
behind
on.
it. Not just some lady that went to Target and just had minding her own with their little Starbucks in her hand.
Open the door, get shot in the face, and the person leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not common anywhere, for the most part. Unless there's a hit been taken out. By who? Who's the prime suspect?
The husband.
Of course. Now, there had only been 2 murders that year in Alexandria. Nancy
And this
was
is
the
December.
third.
Come on, guys. This is December. That's a lot. That's a whole year.
With
She's
2
rounding
murders?
it out. Like, you almost made it through the whole year with just 2.
I'm sure there's been more than that in 1 month in our town.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway,
Might be another one tonight, ladies.
could be. Detectives did speak to Jim. He said he didn't know anyone that would want to hurt Nancy because she had no enemies. I mean, all them other real estate agents that are suffering and not getting their bonuses because of Nancy might disagree. You think?
Oh, you think it's like a real estate? You think it's like a Hallmark or Lifetime movie, real estate?
Real estate.
The real estate murders.
Yes. Bitches in the office.
Yep.
That'd be the subtitle.
Okay. They would never put that on a Lifetime movie.
Probably not. Now, the police asked about their marriage, and Jim said, we ain't got no issues. But don't they always? So they didn't have any reason to suspect Jim at the time. I never thought suspect would be a hard word, but for some reason it was right there.
All the words are hard for you.
They are. He had a solid alibi since he had been with his son waiting on his wife at the restaurant at the time of the murder, allegedly.
That's not allegedly, Stuart. That's proof.
Well, we don't know when she was murdered.
She was murdered at some time between when she left the Target and when she got home.
Okay.
And he was with his son.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Since Jim was the sheriff...
You're speculating quite a bit, Stuart.
I am speculating.
1 star.
Allegedly. Since Jim was the sheriff, they had to look into that angle. So, obviously...
He's made
Jim's
some enemies.
Pissed some people off over the years. So they were looking to see if he had
Since 1985. I mean, he's been the sheriff for, what's that?
almost 20 years.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So they're looking to see if he's pissed off any really dangerous people that might
Yeah.
have some kind of vendetta. And in searching for it, it was, they came up with maybe one person, I think, that had actually
Made a
been
threat.
dumb enough to put it in writing. Now, this genius, they looked into this genius that actually put it in writing.
Mm-hmm.
But they had to rule him out, too, because this dummy was still locked up or got locked up again, and he was in jail at the time of the murder. So they had to rule this fella out as well.
Well, then on top of that, they have to look at the fact that the car that they drove, both, I think, he drove a sheriff's vehicle or whatever, and then Nancy drove a car that the sheriff's license plate,
She had like a government plate that had sheriff on it or something.
And so it was like pretty obvious, and like we said, the garage door was open, so her car was displayed all the time, or anytime the garage door was open, that this was the sheriff's house and things like that. So they had to look at that angle. So yeah, there's a lot of things coming at him. And then not to mention, like we said, they have to keep an eye on Jim because
maybe he's lying.
Because maybe he's lying. Maybe he knows a bunch of seedy people in his work from the last 20 years. He might have been able to find someone to off old Nancy if they were having problems. So with this in mind, they go back and they're like, okay, we need to start off. What was Nancy doing this day? So they trace back Nancy's steps that day, and they find footage of her from the Target just before she was murdered.
Now, was she buying some nice stuff or what?
Well, they didn't go into that. I guarantee there was a coffee mug involved, but there was a man, maybe in his 30s, they thought, that entered shortly after Nancy. Now, right after she came in the door, he comes in, he bends down and ties his shoe, and then he sees Nancy, which direction she's going. I don't know if he was really tying his shoe, like you could see the footage or whatever, pretending it, but Nancy walks by and he sees direction she's going, and he heads off in that direction. Well, then she comes back into the frame, she leaves the store, he falls behind her, leaving without purchasing anything. I always feel I feel so weird leaving a store. Where did I go the other day and I didn't buy anything? I always feel like they're like looking at me like, did she steal something? Do you ever feel that way?
No, I don't.
Have you ever gone into a store and not bought anything? Oh,
yes.
I went into like, I was looking for Mardi Gras stuff for the children, like to wear or whatever. And so I went back next door to the fresh market that's right next door to it. And I walked in, I was going to buy flowers and stuff, but their flowers were freaking expensive. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not buying that. So I'm like, oh my God, do I need to buy something so I don't look suspicious?
Did you buy a carrot or something?
No, I just was like, you know what? Be brave, Kara. And you walk right out of this store and you don't buy anything and assume that the security guard's not going to tackle you. But maybe
I've walked
that's just
into
me.
many a convenience store that didn't have my monster and left.
Okay, well, I feel uncomfortable walking in a store and then leaving because I feel like I look suspicious. Like I stole something or I don't know what.
But you're the kind of person who will go into a store also, use the restroom, and not buy anything.
No, I wouldn't. What are you
would?
talking about? No, I wouldn't. Why would you say that?
You seem like that kind of person.
You've been married to me for I don't even know how many years. Are you freaking kidding me?
That's why I think you seem.
No, I always buy a bottle of water or something. What is wrong with you? Why would you put that out there in the airwaves that I'm that kind of person?
You seem to be that kind of person.
You seem to be that kind of person.
No.
God, I hate you. I do not do that, everybody. That is not even really true. I feel uncomfortable leaving without buying overpriced flowers from a store, okay? So, whatever. Anyways, back to this case. Stewart's dumbass. They find that this guy seems a little suspicious for them. They get as good a picture as they can, and they take the man's picture, they show it to Jim, they show it to Chris, they show it to the daughter. Nobody recognizes him. They put that picture out to the public, but they receive nothing back on it. They search pawn shops for the gun used in the murder with no luck. And at this point, they're running out of leads and the case is going cold. Because like we said, there's no evidence. Someone walked up to the door, shot her, and then left. And if nobody saw the person in the neighborhood, and he didn't touch anything, or the person didn't touch anything, what are they going to go off of? Some suspicious guy in a Target?
Yeah. That's when you need a
that
ring
used
doorbell.
The restroom and didn't buy a water.
Yes, quite possibly that kind of psychopath would do something like that.
You are so annoying. Anyways,
well, this case goes pretty cold.
Yeah, like I just said.
Very cold, ice cold, on the freezer, on the rocks.
On the rocks.
Antarctica, the Arctic.
Okay.
Very cold.
The tundra?
The frozen tundra of Alaska.
Like my heart?
Yes. At this point, it's probably getting colder. Mm-hmm. Anyway,
after you said that I don't buy anything. Although we did have an off microphone discussion whenever he said, he's like, well, you're cheap. You would. I feel like gas counts as buying something, though. Does everybody agree, or is that...
Well, yeah, gas does count.
I mean, I'm not going to go buy a $4 bottle of water like Aquafina.
After I spent
$50 on gas. I feel like if I go and use the restroom, that counts as a purchase to me. I would never just pull up into a gas station and go use the restroom and then leave and not buy anything. But if I bought gas, I feel like that counts. Maybe.
I've pulled into a gas station just to pee before, and I had to buy something.
Well, yeah, you should have to buy something, but I feel like gas counts.
But whenever they didn't have the item I wanted, I didn't feel bad walking out either.
But I feel like, no, it's not about bad. I don't feel bad about not buying anything. I feel like they think I'm suspicious, like I stole something. I feel awkward. No. Like they're looking at me like, oh my God, what's in her purse?
No.
She stole that Snickers bar.
I just feel bad. I would feel bad that I'm using their facilities.
Okay, all right, let's move on. This is such a dumb conversation. So the case has gone cold. We have no clues. We're moved on. We fast forward, and now we're...
talking about Dr. Frank Ronald Kirby. He was born January 7, 1944, in Adelaide, Australia.
Crazy.
I've been to Australia, but I've never been anywhere near Adelaide.
Have I been to Adelaide? I feel like I have. Is that the one at the top or the bottom?
Bottom.
Okay, I've been there, but like just passing through. Like I flew out of there to Sydney.
You flew from Adelaide to Sydney?
Yeah.
What were you doing in Adelaide?
I had rode the train. There's a train that goes all the way across. I studied abroad there I had a car wreck and I got some money, and so I studied abroad.
So you just spent it willy-nilly?
I spent it all. I was like a dumb 20-year-old, and I spent it all on studying abroad in Australia, which was a really terrible decision. But anyways, I rode that train. If we have any Australian listeners, we do. I know we do.
I think we got like 300.
We have oh, we do? Oh, 300. Wow.
Or maybe 300
That's like
downloads.
The whole country. The whole continent.
Maybe.
Anyways, it was called the GAN, or the GAN, GHAN. I wrote it from the top, which is Perth? No, which is...
Darwin,
maybe? Is up at the top, and all the way down to Adelaide, and then I flew to Sydney because I lost my passport, and I found out like a week before I was supposed to fly home that my passport had been lost or stolen. I think it was stolen. You criminals down in Australia.
Mm-hmm. Convict.
Yeah, and so I had to go to Sydney to the consulate and get an emergency passport so I could fly home and yada yada yada. And it was like a whole ordeal. Anyways, I had to stay in a hostel. It was scary.
That's where we stayed in Australia, was in the hostel.
Yeah, they're scary. I was terrified. I was by myself.
We ain't had no money. You stay with the girls. The girls were scary? Were you afraid they were going to shank you or something?
We don't, Stuart. It's a bunch of criminals there in Australia.
Yeah, it is a penal colony.
You know what's a crime? You know what's a crime is Vegemite. That's a crime. Okay.
Putting beets on your hamburger is a crime.
But
too.
You know what they have down there that I love so much.
We're gonna get a lot of 1 stars from Australia.
You know what they had that I love though that I just recently started eating again was you guys have those like potato wedges and you dip them in the sweet chili sauce and the sour cream, and it's so good. I showed my toddler the other day, and she was definitely digging
tearing it up.
Oh yeah, it was good.
So now we got a trip to Australia planned.
Yeah,
we'll see you here in the next.
And they also put ice cream on their waffles at this like not farmers market, but like flea market type equivalent that I went to. It was really good. Anyways, but the Vegemite was not.
The Vegemite.
The Vegemite. Vegemite. That's a Modern Family reference in case you're a big fan like us. Vegemite.
Okay.
We've gone off the rails. I said, if you don't like any of this, on Sunday there's a different episode coming out. Anyways.
If you don't like old Wheezy's laugh over there.
Yeah.
I hear it now. You are Wheezy.
I hate you. Go on, Stuart. We got to get back on track. We're so off track.
I don't even know where I'm at.
I don't even know where I'm at either. Are we in this house? Oh, he went to Adelaide. Frank, who went by Ron.
He's from Adelaide.
He went by Ron.
He married Joyce. Frank, who went by Ron, would attend the University of Adelaide and earn a B.S. in Arts in 1964. He would then go on to receive his doctorate in applied mathematics.
Doctorate?
Doctorate.
You said definitely hurry. Don't have a doctorate.
You said hurry up. I'm just trying to skip doctorate. A couple.
Okay, skip a couple letters.
Well, I thought not saying T's in words these days was the thing to do.
Okay, I don't know.
Like instead of saying bitten, you say bitten.
I think that's if you're like English.
No, I think all the Utes today are trying to pull that shit off. They're trying to pull it off, and it's terrible.
Okay.
Anyway, however, I'm lost again.
You are lost.
Doctorate
you got a doctorate in applied mathematics.
From the University of Adelaide in 1970. Ron would move to the United States where he met and married Molly Diane Davis in April of 1976 in Washington, D.C. They would go on to adopt 2 children, Marilyn and Joseph, from the Philippines.
You made a mistake earlier. You said that he married Joyce, and that's not true. Frank and Joyce were his parents.
Oh.
Yeah, you messed up. He went on to marry Molly. But anyways, that's how he ended up in DC.
I mean, whoever the scriptwriter is probably to blame in this.
No, you didn't read what I wrote, you idiot. Okay, so that's how he ended up in DC. He married an American.
American?
Yeah.
During this time, Ron became the director of the Department of Transportation and Planning at the Metropolitan Washington Council for Governments in 1987. That is a mouthful.
Yes, it is. Well, the government likes to put lots of words to make him sound important.
Yes, they do. He was very smart and very, very successful. City planning was his passion.
Such a weird passion.
Well, I mean, he was probably, when he was a kid, Sim City was a thing. He probably would have been playing it all the time.
Yep.
Building them cities.
Mm-hmm.
They got all those, games.
Okay, let's go on.
Like Sim City.
We've already gone off the rails too much. We got to keep...
Yes.
People hate us right now.
He often told... Well, they got a 20-minute episode coming out Sunday, so screw him. He often told his daughter he had never worked a day in his life as he loved what he did. And he had no plans to retire.
But it's just a weird passion. But I'm glad he found it.
He came to be known in the transportation planning world as Dr. Gridlock.
I don't think the rest of us would like that.
I don't know if that's a Marvel character or what. He oversaw several large projects in the area, including the Wilson Bridge and the I-495 express lanes. He spent a lot of time studying how to improve existing transit systems because what else are you going to do if you truly love
planning
city?
I mean, at least he's trying to improve it. I mean, most things the government does is like try to make things worse, it feels like.
Well, they say they're trying to make them better, but they do make them
They're
worse.
like, let's just see if this works. And if we screw everybody over, oh well.
Oh well. The Kirbys were married for 25 years, and then they decided to go their separate ways.
I guess they were just waiting for the kids to be grown.
I guess. Is that what
That's
we're
what
doing?
me and Stu are doing.
Ron would go on to remarry in 2012 to Anne Gray Haynes.
Now, on November 11th, 2013, just before 12:30 p.m., isn't that the Marine... No, that's the day after the Marine Corps birthday, right?
Yeah, that's Norman. That would be the...
That's a...
Veterans Day.
Okay, Veterans Day. I knew it wasn't a day, Stuart. Joseph, their child, arrived at his father's home and found that the front door was unlocked. He opened the door, and to his horror, he saw his 69-year-old father lying in a pool of blood just inside the doorway. Now, he immediately calls 911. Police, they arrive on the scene, but Ron, he's already gone. He was gone before even Joseph found him. They assess the crime scene, and they don't see any signs of forced entry, no signs of a burglary. His watch, his wallet, wedding rings, everything's still on him. Nothing's overturned in the house. There were no signs of a struggle with Ron or anything like that. It looked like he had simply opened the door and had been shot. The autopsy would later reveal that Ron was shot 3 times, 2 in his chest and 1 in his left hip. There were also 2 additional bullets found at the scene that I guess looked like maybe someone had missed. The medical examiner determined that the gun used was a .22 caliber long rifle, and she went on to say that she'd never seen that type of gun used in a shooting, and she had done over 300 autopsies. It was just a weird gun to pick to kill somebody with. Like,
yeah, it's a small caliber gun. The LR.
Yeah, you could get shot with that and still survive. Like,
yeah.
It's not a guarantee.
Yeah, I mean, the size of it is just a step up from a pellet.
Yeah, so you would have to be close range and multiple shots to make sure you got one.
To a vital area.
Yeah, to make sure you got somebody. So it just seemed odd to her, and like she said, 300 autopsies, and she'd never seen someone choose
Killed
that
with
as
22
because this was an intentional murder. This wasn't a self-defense or an accident or something like that. This was someone actually sought this person out to kill them and chose this gun in advance, and it's a weird thing for her to see.
Police start tracing Ron's steps that day, and they found out that he was sitting at home waiting on a plumber. They found the plumber.
Aren't we all sorry? That was my drink, guys. Sorry.
Are we sorry?
No.
Hashtag not sorry.
No. You know how, like, we told you guys, we set up the microphones so we could, like, we're in a room now, and we don't have to be out big, so with, like, the cat and everything won't make noise and stuff. Well, Jinx is sitting here with us because he sat there and meowed outside the room. And so now, yes, again. So now all the animals are in here with us now when we record. But they're quiet at least because we're all together, I guess.
And they got nowhere to go.
They got nowhere to go. But yeah, Jinx is just sitting here like in the room now. So it didn't work. Like we couldn't keep them out.
Well, he seems happy.
He seems happier here though. In the enclosed space. They just want to be near us.
Can we move on with this case?
Yes.
Police do find the plumber. Fellow by the name of Daniel Portillo. He told police that he had called Ron and spoke to him at 11:32 a.m. to tell him that he was on his way over to his house.
You know, I was driving, and I found there was a plumber.
God, here we go again.
There was a plumber in front of me, like a plumber van or whatever, and I took a picture of it. It said, "I ain't afraid of no drain." I'm gonna post a picture of it or whatever because all I could think of whenever I saw that was like, I want to call this plumber and be like, "Have you heard of Dennis Nilsson and his drain?" Do you know who Dennis Nilsson is too?
Somebody that killed somebody.
He was like a serial killer. He was from Scotland, and he was, but it was in like London or whatever. And he killed men or whatever. He was a gay guy, and he like killed men or whatever. And he started trying to cover up his crimes. He started shoving the body parts down the drain, and then the plumber, he called the apartment complex called and said, "Hey, our drains are backed up." So the plumber came out there. So he bought some fast food like Kentucky Fried Chicken or something and tried to stuff it. This is not funny because it's like dead people's like body parts.
It's not funny, but yet you laugh.
It's a little funny. Anyways, he like shoved like Kentucky Fried Chicken or something like at the top of the drain to like casually like cover up the fact that there's body parts.
Oh, what? You can't shove chicken bones down your
Yeah.
thing?
Anyways, the plumbers like went out to like the source or whatever of the outside of the apartment and like he's like finding like
Clean out.
yeah, he's like finding like body parts and stuff. So they call the police anyways. And the plumber, like, with jokes, he's like, yeah, I drank for free for years with those stories and stuff like that. But anyways, I saw this plumber with this, like, I ain't afraid of no drain. I wanted to call and be like, have you heard of Dennis Nilsson's plumber? Anyways, that reminded me of the plumber. But okay.
So here we are, back to the plumber in this case.
Yeah, in this story.
He arrived at Ron's house, called him at 11:32, in case you forgot already, because of Tara's meandering
Stupidity.
story. He arrives at the home at 11:42, but there's no answer at the door. He tried calling Ron, but had no success. He finally gives up and he leaves the house just after noon. He told police that he saw a construction crew working on the curbs and they were doing the concrete. I guess they were redoing the concrete on the curbs.
Yeah.
He noted...
Must be nice in this rich neighborhood. We'd like a pothole filled over here, occasionally.
A few of them.
They got their curbs being redone. I mean, that's like...
Don't even get me sidetracked on those trucks that run around with the shovels and the asphalt.
I used to work for that, Stuart.
No, the ones with the shovel and the asphalt.
Yes.
Where they just fill a pothole
Yes.
with the shovel and the asphalt.
I worked for the DOTD for a short period of time. And that whenever someone called and complained enough, I used to go with those guys and I would have to, because we contract all of our work. So like sometimes I'd have to go and like oversee them just like putting the asphalt in the holes. And it was always somebody that like complained. It was like a neighborhood that complained enough. And we're like, we'll just shut them the fuck up and we'll just go put this crap in there. And of course it just like.
And as soon as you drive over it, you pull it all out with your tires.
Yes.
So the potholes back later.
Yes, we were together when this occurred, Stuart.
I didn't know that you were doing
I was one of the assholes.
Shit. Because every time I see these people, they don't have any supervisors. Just a couple guys smoking cigarettes, dropping asphalt.
That's probably one of their supervisors that worked for the state.
Jesus.
We're not the best, Stuart.
No. Well,
I don't work there anymore.
Daniel, the plumber, noted that all the men working on the crew fixing the curbs were Hispanic, but he noticed one white man that stuck out to him. He was walking down the street wearing a faded flannel shirt, but did not know who the man was or anything else about him.
He just looked odd. He didn't look like he was part of the crew.
No, looked like he was out of place.
Yes.
The plumber was cleared, and they moved on to look for anyone else that might want to hurt Ron. Ron had no enemies, and no one could find any reason that somebody would want him dead.
Dr. Gridlock? I could think of a few of the people that would hate him.
Yeah, well, I mean, he might have done a fantastic job.
The 30-minute wait or traffic jam to get to work every morning? Yeah, I could find a few people that probably wouldn't.
Well, maybe he knocked it down from an hour. But you know who I'm looking for?
Who?
That son of a bitch.
Oh, God.
That made the intersection at Johnston Street and Camellia.
Oh, okay.
The one that you cross over, but you kind of go in between. And
okay,
then,
this is really local issue. We're not going to get into it, but it's a terrible intersection.
Yeah, if you look at it.
Someone, an engineer, and I'll use the bunny quotes around it, designed that.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
That is the guy you will not buy beers for at the bar.
You know who would never done that? Ron.
Ron would have not have done that. No. I don't feel Ron would have done that.
No.
He would have fixed that shit. That is a terrible intersection. Anybody in Lafayette, Louisiana knows Camellia and Johnston is terrible.
Yep. It was probably like a pet project. Like, let's just see what happens.
It was some dude dropping acid going, hey, man, I think I can make this shit work. And then he woke up and it was on his paper and he's like, man, let's see if we can make this shit work.
He's like, let's just see what happens. That's how we got our toddlers.
Yeah. Let's just see what happens.
Let's just see what happens. Anyways.
Yeah, that's how we got Tito and Jameson.
Yep. The children's names?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought her name was Jack Daniel.
No. Were we drinking Jack Daniels?
Edgy. No, we don't do that. We're classy folk.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, while processing this case, they begin to look for similarities in other crimes that have occurred. That's when they see the shocking resemblance of a crime a decade ago. If you guys recall, we just spoke about it about 10, 15 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
Nancy Dunning. Now, Ron only lived about 1.5 miles from Nancy. With this thought in mind, they look at the cases and they start to compare, and they find the same type small caliber gun that killed Ron also killed Nancy. they begin looking at any people that might have had, and again, the same exact thing happened. I mean, it's the same case.
Well, I would say this is impressive on the detective's part, but it sounds like this is such a low crime area.
They only had
they only had one unsolved crime. They're like, let's look at our unsolved crimes. We got one.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's not... I mean, it is a
And
decade. I mean, that's a whole new police force at this point, too.
Well, so they go back looking at unsolved crimes, and they're like, well, we got one.
Yeah, and so someone, I'm sure it's only been a decade, someone's been there and be like, oh, yeah, was at a crime scene. This same thing happened a decade ago to old Nancy.
That's our only unsolved murder in the area.
Yeah. So anyway, they start looking at Ron's life and Nancy's life, and they're trying to see if there's any type of link. Is there somebody that they both know? Did they cross paths any part or anything like that? And there's nothing. They can't find a link between the two. And with little to go on, the case goes cold again. There's another cold case involving someone opening a door, shooting someone, and leaving. Which leads us to Ruthanne. I'm going to butcher this. Don't come at me. I'm guessing Italians.
Jersey.
Jersey. Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. Stuart, we're not going to survive this. Ruthanne Lodato ne Giammittorio. The last name spelled Giammittorio. That's a lot of letters, folks, okay? I can't only do so much. I've had a couple drinks. I can only do so much. She was born June 20th, 1954. Oh, that's little man's birthday.
Oh.
Not the 1954. That'd be weird.
Yeah, it would be.
To Mary, Lucy, and George. Her father was a circuit court judge in Alexandria, and she would go on to marry Norman Lodato and have 3 children, Lucia, Gina, and Carmen. Definitely Italian.
Easier to sign the check with the Lodato than
Giammittorio. Anyways, Ruthanne was very passionate about music, and she loved playing the piano as well as teaching children. Now, she would go on to teach music for several years, and after her father passed away, her mother, Mary Lucy, she actually moved in with Ruth Ann and Norman. Now, on February 6, 2014, around 11:30 a.m., Janet Franco, she was a woman who worked as Mary Lucy's caretaker. Remember, Mary Lucy is Ruthanne's mother. She worked as her caretaker in the home. She heard the doorbell ring and then a loud boom followed by a scream. She ran to the door to find a bearded white man who was around 50 or 60 years old, that she could tell, with crazy looking hair, Stu.
You think?
Yes. Who had something round in his sleeve. He had like something stuck up his sleeve. She then hears another boom and felt a sharp pain. She screams and she takes off running out the back door to the neighbor's house, she asked to call 911 frantically.
Well, that's kind of a crazy story. Yes, what happened next?
I don't know, Stu. Why don't you tell us?
Is it my turn?
Yeah, it is your turn.
Oh. Police and paramedics do arrive on the scene. They treat Janet for a gunshot wound to her arm. They enter the Lodato home and they find that Ruthanne was lying on the floor. She's lifeless. She's near the front door. There's a pool of blood, and it didn't look like she had struggled with her attacker. They quickly survey the home and they find there's no signs of forced entry, no valuables taken. It looked like an assassination as soon as she opened the door.
I feel like we've heard this before, Stuart.
I think we have, like twice.
Yeah.
Mary Lucy was also home at the time of the murder, and she was unharmed. They have Janet describe who she saw, and they create a sketch of the suspect. Ruthanne's autopsy found that she was shot with a small caliber gun, which was a .22.
I think I've heard that before, too.
I think I have.
Now, with Ron's shooting only having been 3 months earlier, it is fresh on investigators' minds, not mine. Just the one mind, Stuart, not mine.
Sounds like somebody else is having trouble reading as well.
Now, Ruth Ann also only lived about 1.5 miles from Ron. They're starting to think a person is just randomly shooting people in the neighborhood to create like chaos and confusion and like Thomas the Tank Engine. I don't know why.
What is this Thomas the Tank?
Because there was like an episode where Thomas was creating chaos and confusion, like Thomas the Tank Engine. Anyways,
when
I don't
have you
know.
been watching Thomas the Tank?
No, this was several years ago with my with little Jack Daniels. We haven't watched it with her yet.
No. Now, we have watched Masha and the Bear with the...
Oh, yeah, we love Masha and the Bear.
And she creates chaos wherever she goes.
Yeah, oh, yeah, she does. She does chaos and confusion. There seems to be no connection between the victims. No one had any reason to harm Ruthanne. They believe now this was a serial killer. And they would look at the cases together, try to pull whatever evidence... You know, because once they realize... Whenever they're looking at a serial killer, they start to say, okay, we might have a few little bits of evidence here, a few bits of evidence here, but if we know we're looking at the same person, it's almost like, you know, it's looking at it at one case now. So that's what they're going to do. Now, the day after the shooting of Ruth Ann, a neighbor came forward stating that she had seen a man in the area preceding the weeks before the murder. And this man, he just kind of looked out of place. He had a gray beard and messy hair. Like we said, this is a fancy neighborhood. This is the Del Rey, Stuart. This ain't
our neighborhood?
This ain't our neighborhood. You ain't going to have some random, you know, like gray beard person like Stuart.
Yes, I would be the person who's...
They'd be like calling the cops in the Del Rey on Stuart if he was walking in the neighborhood.
They would.
Anyways, he had like messy hair and he just kind of looked out of place. He wasn't dressed appropriately for the weather or nothing. When the neighbor later saw the sketch they had put together of the suspect, she said that was the man she had seen.
Police are receiving tips on this sketch of the sketchy MFer that they put out. And one of these tips leads to a fellow by the name of Charles Severance. Charles lived in Ashburn, Virginia with his girlfriend. And they go to speak to him, but no one answers the door.
Well, I wouldn't answer the door either. If someone knocked on my
wouldn't.
door, I'd be like, "What's this sketchy?"
I don't answer the door anytime.
No.
They left a card and they planned to follow up with him later. Other than the tip, they had no other reason to suspect Charles. While they're going through their other tips...
Yeah, because this could be a run-of-the-mill, oh, he meets the description or whatever. No. Like, they're
White
getting...
truck,
yeah, they're getting
roof.
several of these, so there's nothing that stands out to them about him at all.
No, he just matches a description somewhat, supposedly.
Yeah.
But there's other people I'm sure match the description as well. Anyway, while police are going through other tips, they receive video footage from a nearby home. And at 11:29 a.m. on the day of the shooting, near the Lodato home, a red and orange Ford Escort is seen driving very quickly.
Not a red and orange, like a reddish orange. That's what I was trying to
There's
say.
no delineation like in the...
It's like a reddish orange.
A reddish orange?
Yes.
Not like a red and then it just stops at the
doesn't.
panel and turns to orange?
No, it's like the whole car is a reddish
That
orange.
sounds like some shit that Ford would do. Make a really ugly freaking two-tone car.
Like a burnt sienna.
Hook 'em horns. Well,
we don't care that
we
much.
love you, Texas.
No, and we also don't care enough to like get into that.
No.
We really don't. We're just repeating things we've heard from other people.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, police are able to track down the driver, and it comes back to a 53-year-old Charles Severance. Uh-oh. With the tip and him in the area, police know that they need to work fast. So they start the process of trying to track down Charles when they receive a call from the Russian embassy in Washington, D.C.
Things are getting weird, Stuart. Things are getting real weird.
Yeah, what are they getting a call from the Russian embassy for? Anyway, the Russian embassy tells the Alexandria police that there is one Charles Severance requesting asylum at their embassy.
Of course he is. He would go to the Russian embassy.
Well, where else is he going to go?
Yeah. I mean, the French aren't going to take him.
French had to extradite him right back to the
like,
U.S.
No, we're not doing this. Russia was like the one people are like, oh, well, they hate the U.S. just enough to maybe take me in.
Maybe take me in, yeah. But they didn't.
No.
So.
Can you guys hear that? That's our washer going bananas. Can they hear that?
B-A-N-A-N-A-S.
Yes. Anyways.
Now, the Russians did not take him in.
They finally did something right.
Yeah.
Oh, God, we're going to get assassinated.
Oh, God. And they immediately called the police, like we said. They're like, hey, this
guy's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, do you got codes for the subs or anything? And he's like, no, I just killed like 3 people. And they're like,
Oh,
well,
okay.
you're of no use to us.
You
so
stay here, sir.
you stay here. We're gonna go
process
talk. We're gonna go talk to the ambassador. Check on your status. And then they call the cops. And
we're gonna get you some vodka. Yeah, everything's
come
good.
Get one of your crazy ass people. Come pick them up.
So they go back to Charles's home with his girlfriend, but he's not there because he's at the Russian embassy or doing whatever he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
She answers and says Charles was in West Virginia camping. They search her home and find papers on a .22 caliber gun and some spent casings as well as bullets, but no guns. So they find the spent casings, they find the bullets, but that .22 caliber they're looking for that actually was used in the murders, they can't find it. With no sign of Charles, they start tracking his credit card charges, where they find he has booked a seedy motel in Wheeling, spelled Wheeling, West Virginia, about 4.5 hours from Alexandria. They believe he has 2 guns and is armed and dangerous and basically fucking crazy.
He is crazy.
SWAT teams, they show up at the motel and were able to arrest Charles without incident, surprisingly. He just gave up the goat. He's just done.
I mean, really?
Yeah.
He made all this planning, all this meticulous planning, like he's some covert CIA operative.
Yep. And he just gave it up. So Charles Severance, he was actually a very intelligent person. He had a degree in mechanical engineering, and he'd worked on political campaigns, but he had suffered from mental illness. Don't all the smart ones, aren't they just like a little bit crazy?
A little bit off.
Yep. Charles actually ran for mayor of Alexandria in 1996 and 2000, as well as running for Virginia Congress in 1996, and his platform included a condemnation of the mental health institutions because he had been
institutionalized.
Yeah, and so he didn't believe in them. He's like, we don't need to have these or anything like that. And so him going to kill 3 people was just like his yeah, hurrah, we don't need these things at all. So during the debates, he would show up dressed entirely in black, wearing a cloak, like
he's deaf.
Harry Potter stars. Yes.
Oh, okay.
And during we've been watching Harry Potter all day, so.
Have we or have you?
Have me, yes. And I dressed our baby in Harry Potter outfits. So anyways, during one debate, he actually picked up an American flag, he pointed at his opponent, and then took off running. Not the craziest thing I've seen at a debate, though. I mean, no. I feel like we've seen some worse things. He also punched one of the organizers at a debate in the 2000 run that he had. Surprisingly, though, Stu, he did lose.
What?
All of his...
Shut
I know, right?
F up.
And in his motel room, they found a notebook full of writings about murdering people as well as the reasoning behind the murders that he had committed, the 3. Nancy, Ron, and Ruthanne. So he's admitted in his writings to all of these, and we're going to get into his reasonings as to why.
I'm sure it's valid.
It's valid, yeah.
So, digging into Charles's past, he began a relationship with Tamela. I guess that's...
Tamela.
Pamela with a T, though.
Tamela. I said Tamela. I told you how to pronounce it was Tamela.
What did I say? Tamala?
No,
like
you said...
Tamale?
You said Tamela. Yeah. It's Tamela.
Tamela. Like Pamela with a T.
Okay, yeah.
Nichols in 1998. The 2 resided together in Alexandria, and they had a child named Levi.
This fucker reproduced.
Well, hopefully the old Levi is okay. Now, he was born in April of 1999. Issues arose between the 2 in March of 2000, and Tamela moved out with Levi.
Thank God.
Can you imagine? I mean, this thing was like quick.
Yep.
This thing was over in 2 years. A number of contentious custody and visitation hearings occurred in the Alexandria Juvenile and Domestic Relations District Court. Ultimately, Tamela was granted sole legal and physical custody, and no visitation was awarded to Charles.
Yeah, that means he was pretty bad if, he didn't get, the every other weekend situation, that most dads get. Yeah. It's pretty bad if he gets... Yeah. You can't even see this child, and he's only a year old.
Yeah. So, this guy's he's probably pissed.
He's unstable. Yeah.
And he's unstable, so he's probably pissed that he got 0. Now, the custody orders were served, and they were signed by various deputies basically, in bunny quotes, for Sheriff Dunning because he was the sheriff of the county. So all the
things said,
all the court
they
documents
said
had
whatever
a
name of the person, the sheriff or the deputy that was doing it, and it said for, afterwards it said for Sheriff Dunning, because these are just deputies. The sheriff is actually elected, so these are just deputies underneath him. So everything has to be done on his behalf by these deputies, and that's what it said on the court documents.
Yeah, it was like a pre-printed
yeah,
for
just
Sheriff Dunning.
It's a formality saying, like, hey, these deputies are doing this on behalf of this Sheriff Dunning.
Now, following the court decisions, Tamla began receiving threatening letters from Charles, which, surprise, surprise, really? From Charles? Witnesses testified that for years after the custody proceedings, Charles became upset and irrational when the subject of his child and the custody arose. He would quickly become argumentative and denounce the police and the bunny quotes enforcement class. Charles was illogical when discussing the issue. He used
repetitive, Stuart.
Yeah, hard work.
He's petting the pig cat, Jangles.
Trying to keep him quiet.
Yeah, keep him quiet in here.
So he used again. I can't.
Repetitive phrases such as tomahawking the homestead. I don't know what tomahawking the homestead. I even tried to Google it. No one else uses that phrase but Charles Severance. Tomahawking the homestead.
Yeah. Now Charles's family was concerned about his mental health. You think? But he was distrustful of the mental health system.
Which goes back to his whole, when he ran for Virginia Congress and mayor and things like that, his whole thing about, like, demolishing the entire mental health system and everything
burn
like
it
that.
down.
He wants it done. He's like, doesn't trust it.
Yeah. So, here we are.
Yeah.
Today. He became irate when he learned that his parents had attended meetings of an organization that assisted parents with children suffering from mental health disorders.
Yeah, I feel bad for his family because it seems like they tried. You know, like you see some families that don't want to do anything and they just let them, and then you hear they do something and you're like, what was the family? This family tried to do something and it just...
Yeah, it's like if you got a kid on drugs and they're like, yeah, we're going to go to narcotics or whatever, parental narcotics.
Yeah, they're doing the only thing they know how to do. They don't know how to get Charles help except for we're going to go to this meeting. We're going to talk to other people in this situation and see what we can do. But there's really nothing you can do to force someone into a mental institution if you think that they keep saying tomahawking the homestead.
I don't know
what the fuck that is. So on October 8, 2015, Charles went on trial for the murders. The trial lasted almost a month, and jurors found him guilty on 3 counts of murder, carrying out life sentences, and 7 other counts which carried a 48-year sentence. He appealed his conviction in May of 2017, but that was denied. Charles is still currently serving out his sentence in Greenville Correctional Center in Virginia.
You think he's still upset with the enforcement class?
I think he's still upset. I think he thinks they're tomahawking the homestead, Stuart.
Tomahawking his homestead.
Yeah, his homestead's being tomahawked, I can tell you that.
Yeah, and he's upset with the enforcement class.
Anyway, so that's our case for tonight out of Virginia. He murdered 3 innocent people for whatever...
Tomahawking the reservation or whatever.
Whatever the fuck he came up with. These were innocent people that had nothing to do with his plight in life, or he was basically a person who needed some serious mental... Yes, and needed
with a little lithium or whatever
he needed some help for sure, and he wasn't able to get it, or what the system didn't allow it, or whatever it was, and 3 innocent people were murdered. Yeah. So anyways, but on a lighter note, Stu, do you have a Y'all Need Jesus for us?
Oh, I got one.
Oh, God.
And it is, it's all about key lime pie.
Yes. I actually found this one first, Stu.
You did?
I did.
And then you didn't read it?
No. I just read the first... I read the headlines.
And then I read it, and I'm like...
And Stu fell in love.
I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have to read this whole thing.
He's in love with the person who wrote it.
I'm not in love with the person who wrote it, but I can't summarize they
did such a good job.
Because I read the entire story from beginning to end.
And they did such a good job.
And I said, Kara, I said,
they should be in the penitentiary.
The penitentiary. And the I don't know, the Hall of Fame for creative writing.
Yep.
I'm guessing. Because I told Karen that I was like, you have to read this because I gotta read this as the author wrote it.
We can't summarize it.
We can't summarize it.
We can't take away from what they did.
Absolutely
The
not.
work, the hard work, they need to be recognized on this mediocre podcast that we put out.
To our tens of listeners.
Yes, our tens of listeners.
Okay. Well, there's no Florida, not Florida in this story.
No, it's not.
Because the headline says, Fort Myers man arrested after disrespectfully consuming key lime pie. Now, this story is by a fellow by the name of Teddy Byrne from about 2 weeks ago. Fort Myers, Florida. What constitutes the perfect dessert? Is it a balance of sweetness and tartness? Is it something that reminds you of your childhood?
Well, I will say, I made a key lime pie.
You did. It was good.
I did. For my mother-in-law loves key lime pie or whatever, so I made one just to piss her off because she gets all fiery because I make things from homemade or whatever, and she's like, "You bitch!" Da 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 da. So I'm like, oh yeah, the salsa is made from scratch too, or whatever. Anyways,
Because she buys her stuff.
yeah. So anyways, I made a key lime pie from scratch, or whatever. I didn't realize that like key limes were kind of like our what was the Vidalia onions that are from Georgia.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
Anyways.
Thank God you said Vidalia.
Anyways.
Because they're Vidalia.
Okay.
So now you done effed up.
Vidalia onions. That's how I say it. I say whatever I want, Stuart.
Well,
okay?
I'm thinking of Vidalia, California, so
No.
I could be wrong with Vidalia.
Vidalia onions that you get at the store. They can only be grown in those 20 counties or whatever that was in Georgia. Anyways,
I'm just saying in
so
California,
key limes
you
are
pronounce
only
it Vidalia.
Anyways, key limes are only grown down to make it key lime pie. You have to have the key limes from you have to. I hate you. Well, you have to have the key limes from this specific area because they have a different taste to them than regular limes. They're not as like tart and bitter.
Tart.
Yes. They're not as bitter as me.
No, you are one bitter
They're a little
bitch.
sweeter.
They're sweet like me.
Yeah, so anyway, I made an excellent key lime pie. FYI.
What does that have to do with the story?
I'm just
Other
saying.
than key lime pie.
I'm just saying.
You just wanted to insert yourself
How
in my
great I am, yes.
y'all need Jesus story?
Mm-hmm, and how awesome I am.
Okay.
Go on.
So now I got to start back at the beginning because
No, you don't. Just keep
it was only like
reading.
3 sentences.
Okay.
What constitutes the perfect dessert?
Oh, Jesus.
Is it the balance of sweetness and tartness?
I
Is
hate-
it the something that reminds you of your childhood?
I hate my life.
Could it be all of the above? While the strawberry shortcake might be the official dessert of Florida, there's no denying the true king.
Well, that's a
sweet
crime in
life.
itself. It should be the key lime pie.
Well, I had nothing to do with
Strawberry shortcake.
I
Come
don't
on.
know.
They even grow strawberries in Florida?
What?
I don't think so.
Okay, I got nothing for you. There's no denying the true king of the sweet life in the Sunshine State, the key lime pie. There's a long and contested history regarding the citrus-inspired treat. Ship salvagers and Key West cooks all lay claim to the original recipe containing a filling of condensed milk, egg yolks,
Oh, yeah.
and key lime juice
the
baked
juice.
into the graham cracker crust
Yes.
until tenderly set.
I did that. It doesn't have to bake for long either, folks. You just put it all together and it's like bakes for like 8 or 9 minutes. It's not long.
Whether you prefer a meringue or whipped cream topping,
I did a whipped cream.
key lime
To
pie
save time.
is a staple on the Floridian menu. Now this is like this author. He has like a bold
Is it Pulitzer Prize winning author?
I'm thinking so.
Author.
Now the next section,
Author.
bold.
author.
It's like a chapter, the War of the Pie. So we go to the next chapter in the story, the War of the Pie. That's why one of Fort Myers' man went out of his way to obtain his favorite post-dinner treat for his mother's birthday. He took the custard creation and secured it in his refrigerator, which it would remain until the big day. He even warned another person at the residence, David Powelson. please leave his mother's edible present unsullied in the icebox. Unsullied, sir. But Powelson, drawn to the dessert reminiscent of a cartoon character, was losing all control to a pie in waiting.
How are you going to deny how are you not going to eat a pie? But like, oh my God.
A pie in waiting?
Totally forgot what my roommate said about this pie.
On February 15th around 5 p.m.
Day after Valentine's Day.
Yes.
He's probably sad.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably single. He's probably alone. And he probably didn't get any candy or flowers or anything else.
Mm-mm.
And he's like, oh, look at this pie.
Or a pootie. What?
So he didn't get the pie either. Neither kind of pie.
Either kind of pie.
So he's like, I'm going to eat this pie.
Mm-hmm.
We're disgusting.
You're disgusting. On February 15th around 5 p.m., the man slipped into a daze in his recliner when something caught his eye. Powelson wasn't just eating his prized possession, but was making sure there wasn't even a crumb left behind.
He ate the whole pie?
He ate the whole pie. Why didn't you just save me one piece? The dejected man extolled to Powelson. As the man's blood began to boil over disrespect shown to his key lime pie,
You can't just mow down a pie like that.
he confronted David, and the two became embroiled in a war of words over the final course.
You know, we had so much pie left over whenever I made that pie. We threw
some
some out.
Now what, bitch?
Suck it, bitches.
In his attempt to de-escalate things, Powelson tried to cool off his heated opponent by dumping 2 large glasses of water all over the pieless victim. With that, the Lee County Sheriff's Office was called, where the victim and Powelson each explained their side of the story. According to the arrest report, following a brief investigation, Powelson was arrested and charged with the battery of a person 65 or older.
Oh, elderly abuse.
Mm-hmm. Elder abuse. Next chapter. Bold words. The perfect slice. So what makes a key lime pie irresistible for some?
What does it?
Some argue it's the acids in the key lime juice mix.
I thought my key lime pie was excellent.
With the proteins in the milk to make a creamy, smooth custard filling.
It is very
that
smooth.
Other desserts cannot reach.
No.
For others, it's just delicious.
I like bread pudding, though, so.
Ew. Since 1957, Publix has made the dessert a staple in the bakery section and claims they have kept the recipe the same since its inception. But you don't have to go to the store or your favorite restaurant to have a slice. Here's an easy-to-make recipe, courtesy of Nellie and Joe's famous key lime juice. All right.
We're not reading the recipe, Stuart.
It's like 5 lines.
It's condensed milk.
3 egg yolks, whites not required. 8 ounces of softened soft cream cheese. 4 to 5 ounces of Nellie and Joe's Key West lime juice.
Oh, is that a plug for Nellie and Joe's?
Yeah, I think.
I think the author got a little bit of a kickback there.
More for tangier pie. 14-ounce sweet condensed milk. 9-inch graham cracker pie crust.
Oh, 9 inches. Deep.
Yeah. Pour condensed milk into a blender. Add cream cheese.
Okay,
gradually in small portions.
We don't need to do a whole thing about how to make a key lime pie.
Are we going to post it or what?
No.
People might want a goddamn key lime pie now. And they might not live in Florida and they can't go to Publix. They might want to make it.
You want me to post my recipe for a key lime pie?
Okay, fine. We're going to post Kara's recipe for a key lime pie.
It was a great key lime pie. Anyways, that's our Y'all Need Jesus for...
This week.
For tonight. That's our this week. And I guess we will... Do you have anything else to add, Stuart?
Should I add anything else?
No, you should.
I mean, I was going to add the method. I mean, I gave them all the ingredients. I was going to tell them how to make it.
What was the method? You pour it all into a pie
Pour
crust.
condensed milk into a blender. Add cream cheese gradually in small portions and mix until smooth. Add egg yolks and blend well. Pour in Nellie and Joe's Key West lime. Send me money, Nellie and Joe. And continue blending until the mixture is smooth. Pour the mixture into the graham cracker pie crust and bake at 350 for 10 minutes. After baking.
I told you it was a short bake.
Let's stand for
I
10
baked mine
minutes.
for a little bit longer than that. I know it says, they always say 10 minutes, but I baked mine for a little bit longer.
Refrigerate.
You want it to bubble on the top just slightly. You want some slight bubbles. Not browning, though.
For a zestier taste, prepare this pie a day before you need it. Top with freshly whipped cream and garnish with fresh lime zest.
I did that. My thing was, so for my key lime pie, I felt like mine was a little too tangy in certain spaces because I did add a little lime zest in mine, and I feel like I shouldn't have. And I think I spoke about that afterwards. If I were to make it again, I would not put the lime zest in it. It was a little, it was good. It was like real smooth, but then you get a little zing, you know?
Isn't that what you're supposed to get with key lime pie?
I guess.
A little
I'm not
zing?
a big fan of key lime pie.
What?
Yeah.
I like it.
All right, we spent more time talking about key lime pie than we did about people.
Well, the whole
three
Y'all
people
Need
being
Jesus
murdered.
was about key lime pie.
Okay, anyways. All right, so if there's nothing else to add, you have your whole recipe for baking a key lime pie, and if you're here this long, I'm sorry.
Why? They want to know about key lime pie if they're here this long.
All right, so I guess that's
Hashtag
all
sorry,
for us.
not sorry.
Okay, so we're hashtagging now. Anyway,
And,
so...
I mean, the most important part is...
no, Stuart.
What?
No, just stop.
No, I'm just saying that...
It's not important.
Teddy Byrne is the author of the story.
Okay, Teddy Byrne is important. So anyways,
Yeah.
All right, so I guess that's all for us this episode, and I guess we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone. Say bye, Stu.
Bye, Stu.
Don't you know it's bad luck to be superstitious, but nothing else is working, and my head is really hurting, and I'm sick of all this work.